Good morning, Sycamores. It's Friday, the 24th of April, nearly the weekend. Okay, today we are going to go over our work from yesterday, but to start, we've got a starter using our starter words from yesterday. So today's starter is to use some of the adjectives from yesterday to write a power of three sentence. So, if we can't remember what power of three sentences are, if you remember, there are two types. One is slightly easier, and the power of three is that you use three adjectives. They don't all have to be the words that you used yesterday, because probably you wouldn't put three of those together. I'll demonstrate in a moment. So one is using three adjectives, the other one is using three things that happen. So almost like three verbs, really. So the easier one is the three adjectives. So for example, I might concentrate on the crow, and I might say that the crow is vain, and that was one of the words from yesterday, and that was vain meaning having a very high opinion of yourself. Okay, so I might put the vain crow looked down, and I haven't used my power of three yet. I've only used one adjective, so I've got to have three together. So looked down at I'm going to describe the fox using a power of three. So I need to think, a fox is very sleek, so I'm going to use sleek. At the sleek, comma, and then I can use two words from yesterday, cunning, which means devious, intelligent in a tricky sort of way. The sleek, cunning, comma, the list of adjectives, and then greedy, because he actually wants the food. He wants the cheese. I think it was cheese, wasn't it? He wants the food that the crow's got in his mouth, in his beak. So the vain crow looked down at the sleek, cunning, greedy fox. So that is an example of a sentence that's got the power of three, because we have 1, 2, 3 adjectives next door to each other with commas in between. It's a list of adjectives. The extension version of this task is to have three things happening. So for example, I'm going to now kind of put the next part of the story, and I'm going to start with an adverb starter, and I've made that adverb starter from one of the adjectives from yesterday. So I'm going to put cunningly. It's like saying cleverly, really. Cunningly, the greedy fox I've got to think of three things that the fox does for my power of three. The greedy fox, so number one is going to be sat under the tree that the crow was in. So cunningly, the greedy fox sat under the tree. I'm not going to describe the tree because it's quite a long sentence anyway. Don't want to make it too hard for my reader to read. So cunningly, the greedy fox sat under the tree. That's my number one. Flattered the vain crow. Flattered the vain, there's another of my words from yesterday, crow. So that now is sat under the tree is number one. Flattered the vain crow is number two. I need a third one. I'm actually going to put an and in between these ones. And what would he do after he'd flattered the vain crow and the crow had opened up his beak? He's snaffled could put delicious cheese, but again, I don't want to make it too long a sentence. The cheese as it fell to the ground. And there I have, full stop. 1, he sat under the tree. 2, he flattered the vain crow. And 3, he snaffled the cheese as it fell to the ground. So that's your 2 types of power of 3 sentence. Everybody should have a go at this. I'd really like some of you to extend yourselves and have a go at this one where it's 3 things that a character is doing. And I know that some of you were very good at this when we did this in class. So using some of those words from yesterday, let's extend our vocabulary and only need 1 example of that one, and then the extension is that one, please. Okay, once you've done that in your book on a new page, we are now moving on to a sheet that has 2 fable webs on it, and your starter is written at the top. The first fable web, it says copy and complete the web, and it's the fox and the crow. So yesterday you would have had the hare and the tortoise in the middle box, the setting, probably the countryside. The problem was that the hare was very, very boastful and thought he could beat everybody. The solution was actually the tortoise won the race by just keeping going really steadily, persevering right to the end, and he overtook the hare who had fallen asleep because he thought he had time because he was so boastful. The characters, we would have the hare, the tortoise and the fox if you were going to have a fox starting the race. In some versions it's there, in some versions it isn't. You might have the crowd cheering. And then, is there a trickster? No, not really. There isn't, is there? So I would have left that box blank. And then the lesson or the moral I would put could be, don't underestimate your opposition, or don't be boastful, or respect people. There are different interpretations of what you think the message is. So that was yesterday's work. Today's work, you're doing the fox and the crow. So with this one, there will be a trickster, and the fox picture is actually sitting on the trickster box because it is the fox who tricks the crow into opening its beak. So complete that one, and then, this is the great bit I think, you're going to think of your own fable. So we've got a fable plan again, and it says your fable plan, the something and the something. So you need to choose 2 animals that you think would make a really good fable. So for example, I'm going to set mine in Africa. So my setting would be Africa. And I'm going to I want to choose 2 creatures that are very different. So I'm going to choose a hippopotamus, which is kind of down low to the ground and has a great big mouth. And I'm going to choose a giraffe that has a really long neck and so can reach trees, because I think there's quite good potential for making up one of them is going to trick the other one. All right, so I would have the hippopotamus and the giraffe. Setting Africa, I'd put my title in there again. So my problem might be that the hippopotamus can't reach up high to get some leaves off the tree, but the giraffe can, so the giraffe's boasting about it. My solution might be that the hippopotamus invites the giraffe to have some fish or something with him, but of course the giraffe can't swim. And so the giraffe learns his lesson that he shouldn't be mean to the hippopotamus. So I would have the solution is that the giraffe then can't swim and so can't come and eat what the hippopotamus is eating. There is a story that's a bit like that one from Aesop actually. And then the characters would be a hippopotamus and giraffe. I might have some other animals in it maybe, I might not. Might have a crocodile in there. Is there a trickster who, I suppose the giraffe is tricking the hippopotamus, you know, oh, look at me, look at me. And then the lesson or the moral is be kind, respect other people, don't try to play tricks on them. So that might be mine. I'd probably have to think about that one a bit more. But you know, you can have any creatures you want. You can set it wherever you want. You can even have creatures that are not usually in the same environment, and you put them in a different environment. It's up to you. It's your fable. We won't necessarily be writing a story from this one because we might think about it a bit more, and you might improve this kind of initial plan. This is kind of your first thoughts about how you can put a fable together. So you really need a character who's a bit foolish in some way, and you perhaps need another character who's going to teach them a lesson. They're the main elements that you need. Okay, so think about very much about the problem and how that problem is going to be solved. That's the important part. Okay, I look forward to seeing those, because hopefully your parent is going to take a picture of those and then email them in to me. Yesterday's work, I really need that to be emailed into me, because these are the two pieces of work that I really want to see how you've got on, and I'll be giving you some feedback on them. All right, so get snapping and get sending, and I will see you on Monday. Bye.